Hi, friends. Greetings. Welcome back to the network analysis series. As part of this particular session, we will be discussing about the Girvan-Newman algorithm, which is one of the more popular algorithms in detecting communities in the network. That's right. So we are trying to identify the communities within a network. If you talk about networks, networks are everywhere, whether it is social connections, whether it is protein interactions, whether it is um, epidemic diseases related study, that is epidemiology. Everywhere we have networks, and within the networks we need to try and identify subgroups. These subgroups are nothing but our communities. And Girvan-Newman is a very popular, powerful approach. And there are other community detection algorithms as well. In order to understand those community detection algorithms, you need to first understand that a community is nothing but a subgroup. So when we talk about a network, the connections among the nodes using the edges, right? That is what we are trying to study. These are the two primary elements of any network. But if we carefully decode the network and observe, then we will see certain subgroups within the network where the nodes are more densely connected within the other nodes internally of those subgroups. That means if I have a node or a subgroup like this, these nodes are interconnected, whereas I see that these are the nodes which are interconnected here. So you can clearly see that there are two subgroups within this network. These are the communities that we need to detect. So as you have seen the diagram, we are trying to identify the bridge edges. So in this case, the edge, which is in this red color, this is the bridging edge. So we will have to identify this bridging edge and then remove that particular edge. Then automatically we will be able to identify the communities within the network. The community detection algorithms are broadly classified into two types. One is agglomerative, the other one is divisive approach. These are again very popular approaches in machine learning study. The agglomerative approach talks about constructing the communities or the network starting with an isolated node and start giving connections to those nodes. Whereas the divisive approach is exactly opposite to it, where we start with the complete graph and then we try to remove the nodes which are not typically connected or which are right having less edge, or we can say that identify the bridge edge. So edges that we are trying to connect to the nodes, right? They are incrementally added. Whereas here, they are systematically removed. We need to quantify, of course, the importance of the edge. The strength or the weight of each edge is determined using certain algorithms. Likewise, here also, in divisive approach also, we will have to quantify the importance of the edge. And we need to remove the edge, which gives us this bridge kind of a important right edge bridge kind of a representation. So when we remove this particular edge, we will try and form the communities, right? So we will have to iteratively remove and keep recalculating the weights. That way we will try to get the network structure in a way where we can clearly see the subgroups. So here it is an iteratively incrementing process where we try to build the network starting from one node. It gradually forms the clusters within that network. Whereas the divisive approach is opposite to it, as I explained. We keep removing the edges in such a way that we try to get tightly connected nodes as subgroups. So these are the two broad approaches. And when we talk about the community detection algorithms, there are few algorithms that we need to look at. The Girvan-Newman algorithm, it is a divisive approach. It identifies communities by repeatedly removing edges with high betweenness. That means we will have to calculate edge betweenness centrality measure, and whichever edge has the highest edge betweenness centrality, we remove that. This would break down the network into clusters. Then we have fluid communities. These communities expand and interact just like, right, we adjusting the fluidic structures. Then we have label propagation. It's also called as a semi-supervised approach, right? And these basically assigns labels to previously unlabeled data points in a way to form the neighbors. Then we have Clique Percolation. The algorithm finds k-clique communities in a graph using something called as pre-correlation theory. Then we also have something called as KL algorithm, Kernighan-Lin algorithm. It splits the network into two parts, two balanced groups, and then we try to repeatedly approach that, right? We do it by partitioning the network into two sets, right? And then we iteratively swapping the pairs of nodes so that, right, it reduces the edge cut between two sets. We will learn more about these algorithms as and how we proceed into this particular series of our network analytics study. A brief overview of Girvan-Newman algorithm. We will be implementing it in Python. But to talk about the Girvan-Newman algorithm, it basically is a divisive approach, and it tries to, right, iteratively compute edge betweenness centrality for the edges in the network, and then identifies the edge which has the highest centrality measure and removes that. And this basically gives us the best communities. So the process, the flow is like this. To start with, we get the network design or network created from whatever the network data that we have. And then for each edge, we compute edge betweenness centrality. This will help us to identify the potential bridge edges. In Python, we have edge betweenness centrality function in networkx library. Using that, we will be identifying all the edges betweenness centrality measures. And then we remove the highest edge betweenness centrality, detect that, and then remove that particular edge. And this is an iterative approach. So keep removing the edge with the highest betweenness centrality value. This would slowly help us to identify the communities within the network. And once the communities are detected, of course, we also have to evaluate their quality. So we have, again, connected components function in networkx library, which helps us to measure the quality of this community. So this is how we approach the Girvan-Newman algorithm in Python. The most essential thing is we need to try and understand how edge betweenness centrality is calculated. We'll look into that in our next video. Thank you so much. I'll see you around in the next video.